Andrea Warner, and I'm one of the hosts of Pop This. I'm just here to let you know that we at Pop This are on our holiday schedule. This means we're going to be alternating between new episodes and classics from the vaults from now until the end of September. This gives our team a bit of a chance to recharge, but it also gives you a chance to listen or re-listen to some of our all-time favorite episodes. Today, we're bringing you an encore presentation of one of the great summer movies, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. This episode was recorded in summer 2018 and features journalist Dannielle Piper as our guest. Before you hit play, we highly recommend watching or rewatching the movie. If you can't go to Greece for a vacation, watching this movie and listening to this episode is basically the next best thing, right? Right. We hope you enjoy it. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Until then, happy summer.
You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So this thing keeps happening that in our Me Too climate, and in our not Me Too climate, just the climate of people saying dumb things.
Yeah. And
then what I've noticed is depending on the influentiality, is that a book? Sorry, not a book. Is that a word?
It's a Dannielle Steele book. And
influentiality?
The influence, I think, is what you're, the influence of the person.
I like my word better.
I like it. It's good.
It's just not a real word.
I don't think it is.
Depending on the influence and who has been influenced by this person, this very strange campaign to explain the truth of what this person was trying to say comes out.
Yeah.
Generally, it's preceded by something that was taken out of context. And then you explain back, nope, I read the context, and it still sounded alarmingly bad.
Yes.
And this person should not have said that, and I am tired of you defending because you think this guy is worthy of defending because you liked his movies and his strange, weird sensibility. And I would give the name of this person, but by the time this episode comes out, there's probably another one.
I was going to say there's 4 more by the time this episode airs.
4 more.
I will say that I have been deeply frustrated. Well, I'm always deeply frustrated, but the last, super deeply frustrated. But I will say that if you are a man who leaps to defend another man because of what you deem to be unfair accusations, I automatically know that we are probably not going to be good friends or close ever, because the very thing that that reveals to me is that you have some stuff that you do not want to atone for.
Yes.
And whether it's as extreme as actual sexual assault or sexual violence, or if it's just sexual harassment and bullying and inappropriate behavior, whatever it is, if you automatically leap to defend a dude without listening to the accusations that are coming out, without giving any space at all to even a second of sort of just the courtesy of a pause to listen, I have no patience for you.
No, I agree. And this is within the milieu of this terrible thing that's happened to Star Wars: The Last Jedi. You've been watching this?
Oh, I have not paid attention, but I've heard that,
that these group of the man-baby people want to remake it, and they're trying to get financing. And they put out a manifesto that they printed on made some kind of parchment with how depressed they are that Rian Johnson, the director and writer, did not take their unique man-boy feelings into account. And I can't believe how this has escalated into this movement now. I recognize it's a small bunch of basement-dwelling idiots, but they're very loud.
I honestly don't know if it is. I feel
you think there's a lot more?
I feel like there is a deep problem that is a relationship between both sexism and racism that exists within fanboy culture that is incredibly depressing, and it's violent, and it's getting more and more problematic all the time.
And it is, and to the point where the director is responding to these people that are calling him like hateful names, and Kathleen Kennedy. Let's not even start there because she's in charge of Lucasfilms now.
Sure.
She has destroyed the entire franchise. It's over
in the eyes of these people.
In the eyes of these people.
Yeah.
And I think it feels like you're right. I'm sort of used to that in a way, but this is a new dimension because of how angry they were that in the last 2 Star Wars movies there was a woman
and women of color.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we have to think about, like, I mean, my God, like, what they have done to poor Kelly
I don't know
Tran.
why they weren't upset. Like, if it came out now, would they be upset about Princess Leia, or did they not feel as emboldened as they do now? Because
I think it was different. Like, there was, like, a different level of fan service that she, like, got to be in. She was still sort of served up in the male gaze over and over and over again, right?
True. Yes.
Like,
and she wasn't a threat to Luke Skywalker. And for some unknown reason, Rey's character was assumed to be better than everyone because she was capable.
Well, and I mean, that's really where you want to sort of start to identify. Yeah, your problem is that women are portrayed as competent.
Yeah.
If that's your deep issue, and because you feel that if a woman is portrayed as competent, then a man is portrayed automatically as incompetent. I mean, granted, I guess, like, we shouldn't expect more necessarily from a franchise that is deeply interrogating, like, sort of emo crybaby toxic masculinity in Arlo Ren.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because, like, they've...
Kylo Ren?
Kylo Ren. Arlo Ren. I don't know. It's his country
like
cousin.
Arlo Guthrie, or?
His country cousin. Kylo Ren, sorry. Like, you know, that character is so obviously meant to stand in as, like...
and if you're seeing yourself in there...
And are mad
you're the one who's got a problem.
Well, that's the thing. And they just...
How dare you create this toxic male character?
How dare you mirror my existence
yes,
on the big
exactly.
screen? I really have just so little patience. But what I really extra get so mad about is that they have this sort of, like, ability to organize and bring together all this money and finance all of this.
I think they said something about $15 million now. And Rian Johnson, the director of the Last Jedi and the Force Awakens, he did tweet out when they said they were going to make this movie, and he just tweeted out, like, please do this many times.
Well, I mean, oh my God.
Their manifesto included that you cannot make us go to these movies, and I thought, did someone make you before? Like, is it because your mom wants you to clean your room that you assume that other people can tell you what to do? I don't know what else to suggest. How could you perceive that someone's forcing you to go? You're always don't have to go.
In the same way that people apparently have the idea that they have been forced into silence, that they have been forcibly banned from free speech simply because no one's listening to them or telling them to shut up. Again, our idea of what force is really apparently under a studious, just screw up right now.
Now, if you didn't like, this is my final thoughts just on this. If you didn't like The Last Jedi, that's fine.
Sure.
My brother wasn't a big fan. We had some conversations. It was fine. Do I imagine my brother is going to go online and start going, maybe these guys have a point? No. He's an adult man. He's able to not like a film and not see it as a personal attack.
On his manhood?
On his manhood.
I guess more power to that reasonable attitude.
Yes. So if at any point, men out there listening to this podcast, which
They're not. That's cool.
Especially the ones we're talking to or about. If at any point
I think like reasonable men listen to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're going, that guy has a point, you really need to get some actual help. I do, and I'm not even joking, because something has...
These are the same dudes who are selling out Jordan Peterson shows across the country.
Mm-hmm.
I have no patience for it, and I do not want to hear from them at all.
You are allowed not to like a film.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yep.
And you're allowed to say, oh, that's not the direction I would have gone with it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because you're not the filmmaker.
Well, and there is, yes, I will agree with you that like in these guys, that there is a crisis of masculinity because the patriarchy has not served you as well as you think it has.
Yeah.
The patriarchy is toxic.
Yeah.
The reason that a lot of things are happening now that are really terrible is because the world is set up in a really terrible place because colonization is awful. Look it up. My God.
Oh.
Just stop
Well, I
being
thought I said the final
whiny
words.
babies. Like, God. Anyway, I'm going to swear, and I don't want us to get an explicit tag.
What she said.
Yeah. Anyway. Well,
let's move on.
There is no transition that's smooth into, except the fact that I love a movie, and one of the reasons I love watching this movie, I haven't seen it since it came out, so it was really nice to go back to it, but watching a movie that centers friendship between women is always going to feel to me like
subversive
and comforting.
Yes.
Because I don't believe in detoxing tea cleanses, but I believe in putting on Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and just feeling a little good.
Slow clap right there for you.
Pop This. I'm Andrea Warner.
And I'm Lisa Christiansen. And we do have a special guest with us
today.
Who traveled in some pants.
Yeah.
That's my segue.
That's a great segue. Yes.
We do have an intern we are working at CBC with. And introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dannielle Piper. I'm an intern at CBC's On the Coast, and I am a UBC master's student in journalism, and I love pop culture.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and this is actually when we first met, you were saying this is the area you would like to take your journalism. So talk a little more about that.
Yeah, so I love looking at the intersections between gender, race, sexuality, and pop culture, and a lot of people don't do that.
Wait, but you found us, so
but
it's
I
like
found you.
It's like
so you were the unicorn in a field full of horses.
No,
so
I think you're the unicorn, and we're very excited that you've come to our pasture. Thank you.
I'm very happy to be here.
No, I'm so excited. So when is the first time that either of you saw Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants?
Yesterday.
I watched it when it first came out,
yeah,
and I also read all the books. So my friends and I were kind of obsessed. We actually fought over who was who.
Oh my God! Who are you?
Oh, I wanted to be Bridget, but my friend was like, "No, I'm Bridget." And I was like,
because you play soccer?
No, because we just loved Bridget's storyline the best.
Oh, well,
I mean,
but
okay.
then we also argued we wanted to be Lena. Like, we wanted to be either Lena or Bridget.
Uh-huh.
See, I am significantly older than you, and I saw it also when it first came out. I saw it with, I think, my little cousin who's 15 years younger than me, and so I would have been in 2005. I was 26, I guess, and I loved it then, and I watched it again this morning actually, and I love it to this day. And oh my God, I have always loved Carmen's story the best because I just think Carmen is the coolest. She's always been the coolest to me. Although I do remember, even at 26, being like, this Bridget's pretty cool. Like, she's got some tragedy, and I don't identify with her wanting to seduce a bunch of people, but cool. Like, I mean, that's neat. And Lena's storyline is very dull to me. But I understand wanting to be her because it's pretty cool.
As teenagers, we just liked the love storylines. So
yes,
we were
of course.
just like, oh my God, we want to be them. But as I've grown older, Carmen is truly the best one out of all of them, to be honest. Yeah,
for sure. Tibby doesn't get a lot of love.
Tibby is great, though.
She's great. I remember liking her better now than I did back in the original. Back when I first watched it in 2005.
I would say the only thing that really intrigued me is who the actresses are and where they are now.
Okay.
Because we know who they all are, and
Yep.
they're all extremely successful.
Yep.
All doing really interesting things. Like, what a cast. Like,
It's a great
That
cast.
is what's fantastic. There's not it's not like one did something or two, like all of them are doing really interesting things, and for that I found it really interesting. But no,
you're not identifying with any of the characters?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I don't. Would I want to be? Obviously, if I had a choice, I would much rather be in Greece than in that dead, dull soccer camp in Mexico, which just made me tired all the time. All those drills and things.
It was a lot of running.
And but Carmen's, I would say that I found her storyline in terms of thinking about myself as a teenager the most heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
And this is after watching Bridget's mother commit suicide.
Yeah.
Or not watch, but
but going to the funeral.
I just felt like the writing of that was so well done. And also just that painful experience of all of us have of parents that we have certain ideas about, and then they disappoint us so greatly. And it's not because they're terrible people. They're just not great at certain things, which we assume they should be.
Yes. And I think, I mean, so just to back up, if anybody has not seen Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, let's tell you a little bit.
Yes.
So, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, 2005 American comedy drama based on the novel of the same name by Anne Brasharis. This was directed by Ken Kwapis. He's just not that into you. And screenplay.
I like that movie.
And it stars Alexis Bledel, who is Lena, American Ferrer, who is Carmen, Blake Lively as Bridget, and Amber Tamblyn as Tibby. And I'll let you read the plot.
Yes, here's the plot. Well, let's. Dannielle will read the plot because you can really get into this.
We've got a third today.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
4 teenage girls, Carmen, Tibby, Bridget, and Lena, are best friends from Bethesda, Maryland, who are about to separate for the summer for the first time in their lives. Lena is spending the summer in Santorini, Greece with her grandparents. Tibby is staying at home. Bridget is going on to soccer camp in Mexico, and Carmen is visiting her father in South Carolina. On one of their final days, they went shopping together. The girls find a seemingly ordinary pair of pants that fit them all perfectly and flatter their figures, despite their very different measurements. The girls dub them the traveling pants and decide to share them equally over the course of the summer. They part the next day, and the film focuses on each girl's journey separately.
This is the best premise ever for a summer film about friendship.
Yeah, and it's very, I mean, I do find the way of giving the magic to something that is superficial, yet not, because a good pair of jeans.
Oh my God, a good pair of jeans is so important.
Honestly, right? If it just
it's so hard to find.
Hard to find, and it flatters you.
Yeah.
And it makes you, like, more than anything else, feel powerful in them. Yeah. So I really love that idea a lot.
Yeah. I also love the fact that they immediately decide to sit in a circle, light 4 candles. So Lisa said to me yesterday, she's like, what is it with you making me watch movies where it's a bunch of girls sitting around lighting candles?
This is a popular theme of films that Andrea suggests.
I was like, look, I know who I am, and that is part of a coven.
Which is how we end the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We will be, Andrea will be joining us in here, and the 4 of us will be sitting around a lit candle.
Yeah.
So when I'm not here, what happens?
Those people aren't speaking anymore.
We always have the small bus that I carry in my purse. It's cool. But I love the fact that they immediately, because this is very much something I would have done in high school, which is immediately create rules around what.
We're going to need some rules for this random thing that just happened. Yeah.
We need a manifesto immediately in order to solidify the importance of, like, a thing, right? You know? And each of them is very invested in keeping this friendship really connected because they were apparently connected in utero, but their moms were all in the same yoga class while they were pregnant. We opened the film, and they've just had this really sort of like little glimpses into the tragedy of their lives. Carmen's dad has left for the final time when she's about 10 years old, and she's getting talked through all of that pain on the phone with Lena. And then Bridget's mother has taken her own life, and the priest says so in her funeral service. There was a little suicide shame in that service, which was extra.
Or just a bit of unnecessary exposition.
Just a little, but like a little like anyway. And everyone else's lives seem relatively fine. That's the only two backstories we sort of get.
Except I guess Tibby's kind of a goth, so you always wonder.
Tibby's kind of a goth. She's miserable because
she's babysitting
her parents have two very tiny children. She's 16.
Yeah.
And her siblings are 2 and 1.
Yeah.
And I can understand that being not fun.
Yeah,
if you're
there's a big age gap between kids. Hey?
Super big age gap between kids. And obviously, like, they just sort of expect that she'll suddenly just take care of her siblings all the time, which can be, I think, a bit onerous. And then, Bridget plays soccer and has, the... Oh, and Lena, we don't know anything about Lena's parents other than the fact that apparently she's Greek and she's going to Greece to be with her grandparents.
I have to also say, and this is stupid and means nothing, but I have been to Santorini and I have been where she was, and there's no, like, donkeys taking everyone there. You walk.
Yeah,
Did it make sense to anyone? They were on a donkey? Like, in perfectly fine ways to just walk through those streets?
Yeah, it felt to me like it was one of those like sort of special homecoming treats or something.
Oh,
like,
maybe.
Grandpa decided that because they never thought they'd see her. They never met her, apparently, which neat. They were like, well, we can't let our princess granddaughter walk up this hill. We'll just
I see. Okay.
Give her the donkey treatment.
But then later on, she sees the donkeys again, and she tries to get around them or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
It's dumb, but it just irritated.
There are
me.
magic pants involved, so I mean, there's.
So I'm focusing on the wrong thing. There's magic pants, and I'm focusing on the donkeys in Greece. How did the donkeys in Greece fit with you?
It just seemed like a typical Hollywood reaction.
See?
Thailand, you'd have people riding the elephants.
Right.
In the desert, you'd have people riding camels.
Yeah.
It's just like a Hollywood
Obviously,
thing.
there's donkeys in Greece.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Meanwhile, it's mostly like C.D. Leonard Cohen's type poets that are always trying to get you to go to bed with them.
Man alive, quit selling Greece to me. So, like, why? Okay, so you're not the biggest fan of this movie, Lisa.
I don't hate it. I mean, I don't. It was fine. I just didn't.
You're bored by it, though.
A little bit bored, just because. I mean, like Dannielle was lucky enough to see this as a teenager.
Yes.
And so I feel like there was some relatability with some of those issues, which I think a big part of it is a large part of the story is very much about these are lives you have to do because your parents are forcing you into them. So, you know what I mean? That's an interesting dynamic. Like none of these girls yet are living the lives they want to yet, because they're still part of a family that tells them what to do. And so that was a long time ago when I lived that way. So I wasn't, the tensions they were experiencing didn't feel as terrifying as just being out there. That, I don't know.
Yeah. You've watched it, have you watched it recently, or is the last time you watched it when you were a teenager, Dannielle?
I haven't watched it recently, but every time that I've seen it come on, I definitely watch it. It's one of those movies I just have to watch. Even if something new is on, I'm like, no, I'm going to watch Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It's kind of like how I watch The Parent Trap and Bend It Like Beckham and Big Fat Liar repeatedly throughout my life as self-care, like therapy.
Totally. How many times do you think you've seen Sisterhood?
Ooh, I'm going to say at least 5 times.
At least 5 times?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's not so bad.
No.
That's not so bad. Like, I was thinking, like, maybe you'd seen it, like, 10, 12, 20.
She's still
But you know what? You're still young, so you didn't grow up at a time when you only had one, tape and one VCR and watched the same movie 30 times.
Just quick question. How many times have you seen 2?
Not as many as 1, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's face it, 2 is not as good. But, like, so there's certain stories that I remember watching it the first time around and not, I get a little bored of the precocious child who's secretly sick, wise beyond her years. This time around, man, I loved it because I kept thinking, so Tibby ends up, like, if you haven't seen it, Bailey is this kid that Tibby finds kind of annoying. Tibby's wanting to make a documentary, and she's wanting to focus on how everyone's a loser. she's still in this sort of like hateful stage in her life, which I remember well and lived it.
I'm still in that phase.
Fair enough. Totally fair. But I actually really sort of got behind the Bailey story this time, not because I want to spend more time with like sort of precocious sick kids dying, but I loved the fact that what she does for Tibby is helps her to like cultivate generosity and like she is genuinely interested in people in a way that I think there's that compassion element, right? Like she actually teaches Tibby to be compassionate to people beyond the circle of 3 people that she loves the most in the world. And it was so lovely to see that like modeled over and over and over again. And I was kind of a sucker for it. Like I teared up.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I kind of felt a bit like the Greek plot was just Rory Gilmore goes to Greece.
I know. Yeah,
I know. It was really
know.
that same character that was there, and it was.
Except they like tried to like make her klutzy as like one of her like character attributes. So, like her only character, like as she was sold, like even though we find out later that she's a really talented illustrator.
At the beginning, she's drawing and she falls in the water.
No, I know. We find that out after, but like at the beginning, like
Oh.
when everyone's talking about like who the characters are, and like Carmen wants to be a writer, and we understand she's sort of writing the story.
Oh yeah,
as we're going through. She's describing like what each of her friends are like, and Lena is described as lithe and beautiful.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah,
she has no other character attribute. And we ultimately find out she's like, a reasonable artist, and she apparently klutzy is the other thing that we're supposed to.
Also drawn to a man from the family that does cursed your family.
Yeah, it's a real
something.
Romeo and Juliet kind of nonsense. But like it sort of struck me as in a movie that gives a lot of space to really sort of like cool young women characters. They very much fall down on Lena.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I mean, it was nice to see Greece. It looked pretty, but it was also kind of dull there.
I thought it looked nice, but
It did look nice.
I was more interested. I wanted to spend more time in the punishment area of where, like, apparently her grandmother thinks it's completely reasonable to just hold her head underwater and waterboard her in a certain way. And I did not remember that from the first time I saw it, but I was like, wow,
You're okay with that?
This is like, did that ever, like, it didn't stand out to me in 2005, but it really stood out to me in 2018.
It felt to me like uneven in that sense. Like when I'm watching it, I really felt like that whole, maybe it was because, as you mentioned, Carmen is the writer of the story, so we spend a bit more time with her. But the time we spent with her felt so real.
Yes.
And so almost it could have been its own movie.
Absolutely.
Whereas everyone else's storyline felt a bit thin. Like I felt like being at the soccer camp and trying to seduce the coach and then feeling hollow because you lost your virginity, which I feel really is a real cheat in movies about young girls.
Yes.
Which I think is really unfair to assume that you're only doing that, like you don't even know what you're doing. I don't like that idea.
No.
I would have rather her come out of that feeling like, well, that was good times. Can't wait to do that again. I mean, maybe not quite as overt as that. But
I guess because like it just feels like, I don't know. There's so many unnuanced portraits of women's sexuality and young women's sexuality, 17-year-old girls' sexuality. That it's such like a sort of, be careful about sex because you're just doing it so that you can like receive love that you're missing from other areas of your life.
like your mom.
Yeah, like it's probably not accurate that like you're gonna be able to just have sex and fill up all the holes of your loneliness, as it were. That's a really graphic and awful way to say that, but oh my God. But it just
seemed like a lot of box checking. You got 4 young girls, what different sort of issues.
Yeah.
One of them's going to be the pushy, pretty girl who wants to lose her virginity, or like that just felt like and that's obviously in the book, so
it always felt sad to me while watching it. Like every time I watched her sort of like pretend to be this other version of herself, pretend to be older, pretend to be more experienced than she was. Like, it always felt sad to me while watching it. So the fact that it then becomes like this thing that she sort of triggers her depression, and she's worried that she's going to be like her mom. I like that they gave space to that storyline. I just feel like they did it in a way where, like, the studio was like, look, we've got this hot 17-year-old.
Yeah.
We got to make sure. Like, it felt kind of a little grimy. But you, Dannielle, have read the books. So can you tell us, like, is that, like, really Bridget's narrative in the book?
It's pretty similar. I remember reading the book when I was younger, and I remember that painted the picture of, I think it was actually the first time I'd read about female sexuality in a book.
Wow.
In a young adult novel.
Yeah.
And so it painted a picture of what having sex would be like if you do it at a young age. And I remember all of my friends and I reading that and being like, oh, yeah, so if, like, kind of internalizing that narrative of if you have sex when you're younger or try to push to have sex too soon, that you'll feel empty inside.
Yeah, yeah.
And it took a lot of more reading before I ever found a female character who had a completely different narrative. All of them were like, I'm so empty.
It's always about filling up a void, which is a very sad sort of depiction of young girl sexuality.
I have a friend who said that this female friend of his said that it took her to see porn for the first time for her to even consider that a woman could enjoy sex.
Wow. Oh,
and he even said to her, he said, but you know that was fake. And she went, but she was making the faces like she was enjoying it.
Yeah.
And that was her switch to go, oh, maybe women can like sex.
Wow. That's depressing.
It is depressing. It's
so
super depressing that never at some point did she go, oh, this is this body, and I get to experience it the way I want to, and I get to make decisions for it, and I can enjoy things. But yeah, porn was her access point to thinking women could enjoy sex.
Yikes. Well, I mean, the stuff that I read as a kid that gave me that sort of idea that, like, just like the female sexuality had any pleasure for young women, and they could be agents of their own desires, was always Judy Blume.
Me too. I was just going to say Judy Blume.
Judy Blume was a big deal for me in terms of,
I remember reading that book forever.
Well, just I'm trying to think of what my entry points were. There were a few, but like it was just always that was like the real unicorn experience. Like, that was like, my God, I do not know a lot of other places that are going to sort of center an experience for me that could, like, and to just, like, know for sure that there was something that was, akin to sort of it being a pleasure for me, not a rite of passage that would fix something or break something further in me.
Yes.
It was just an act of simple pleasure. Yeah. Although we did get, like, some good sex ed from when I was in grade 5. This is going to be too graphic. But anyway, it's not my sexual experience, but the sex educator came to us. Like, I want to say it was like the famous Canadian Sue Johansson, like somebody like that came to my school, and she taught our grade 5 class about things that no one had ever considered. Mostly, I mean, I'm sure some had, but she taught us, and she really tried to articulate that pleasure is for women, or for boys and girls, and that pleasure can be derived from a variety of different ways. She taught us about, she said, I'm only going to say this once, I'm not going to repeat it, but she actually, like, taught us the term finger effing.
Oh.
Yeah.
There was no other way to just...
No, and she said the word. I'm not saying the word because we don't want the explicit tag, but she taught us that terminology. Okay. And I can only imagine that, if you're listening in Ontario, that's never going to happen again for you, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But
the thing could,
but not the talking about it. Yeah, I'm so sorry. But it was really, it has stuck with me to this day, and it gave me, like, a lot of different sort of ways to view teenage sexuality when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that I was a little disheartened about that storyline. Yeah. Ending that way, but that's the book. I mean, what can you? I can't change the book, but I guess.
Well, let's rewrite the book right now. Yeah. What else in the book is, like, sort of faithful, or what do you think is missing from the book?
Lena and Costas' storyline is kind of a little bit different.
Oh.
They kind of start off more as friends, like their families are friends, and then they stop being friends, as opposed to a curse on the family.
Oh.
Which I found was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
They don't start off as, like, hating each other immediately.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's like nicer to have that tension that we can see as opposed to just hearing about why.
Yeah, it was just, I remember watching it and being like,
Did it seem very romantic when you were reading it?
No, because I'd heard it before, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, this is not going to end well for people. But.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's, again, like that Hollywood idea of, like, oh, these, like, Greek people have donkeys and family curses.
Yeah.
You know, it's this Hollywood notion of, like, sort of the old country and the old world.
Yeah.
That are a little bit archaic.
My big fat Greek wedding didn't help much on that front. But
Sure, I mean, I don't know that they were necessarily thinking this is going to be.
But
like,
it was her family. So.
It was her family.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about that.
Nope.
Yeah, so one of the other things that I love so much about this movie, so obviously Carmen, I love her storyline.
Yeah.
Every aspect of her storyline I love, from the the fat shaming in the bridal fitting part. Not that I love to see that, but I love to see that acknowledged as like an element of a storyline, and have her reject, even though she's already feeling so othered by like watching her family or her like dad embrace these like 2 white blonde kids and this white blonde woman, and she feels super rejected because he has left her. He's raising these other kids, and you know she's got, you know, she's Puerto Rican American. Her mom is Puerto Rican. Like it just feels like this whole rejection, this like really racist sort of experience. And they make so much space for that. They make so much space for her body. They make so much space for like all of the different feelings. And then when she finally is able to like confront her father and tell him how she feels, it's so moving. It
is. And I also thought what
cathartic.
They did a good job too was that as much as that other family was, that they were very welcoming to her. Like they wanted to be, you know, to like when at the end of the wedding, when she pulls her up there, you know, it wasn't so, no, they weren't getting an easy out. It wasn't like, this is really easy for me to hate this family.
No.
You know what I mean? I hate those stories that make it simple.
But they do a few different things throughout where you're like, you can easily understand. Like they're like, is she speaking Spanish? As if it's like,
they were dumb.
Oh my God.
But they were not cruel people is what I meant. Like it wasn't that easy to me. Like I like it better when we can see she's working through things because it's so complicated. Like this whole new family, right? And it would be boring if it was just like Cinderella.
Oh no, it's not a Cinderella thing, but I think it's like, I'm glad they made the space to show us how like sort of like the inherent sort of like subconscious sort of racist like
Sure, she's in
racism
South
would play
Carolina.
part of it.
Yeah.
No, and the Southern woman with this like accent and just like these like repeated little things, like, and how she like, they have a maid and like the maid is Maria, you know, that kind of stuff. Like I like that they made space for that, and that was pretty important to me.
Yeah. No, I do. I agree with you. I thought it was that's why that storyline was so interesting. There was so much going on. It was so much more powerful.
Yeah.
There was a lot. It was like everyone else got a little bit like, you're staying at home and you're going to work in the drugstore and make a film about a girl dying. And you're going to play like that girl that doesn't care about anything that I feel like I've seen in every teen movie all my life.
Oh, I've been that teen. I don't know. I tried that.
I still am that teen.
You still are that teen?
Just not the teen part, but I'm still that character.
That disaffected, like, nothing's going to touch me. I mean, you're not carrying a small coffin purse like I did for a number of years.
Emily Strange.
It was before Emily Strange, to be fair.
Okay.
To be fair. But, I had 3 different coffin purses.
Oh.
You started the trend.
No. I had to buy them somewhere. I think Torrid and Hot Topic started the trend.
I think I had my own sort of hatred of every and all things, but I didn't visually wear it.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, but it was, if you just a little scratch, it would ooze out. There was a lot of loathing, self and world.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, self and world loathing. I love so much like how this movie, like at the beginning when they're setting the rules, Lena gets to say the phrase that really, I don't know, it just made me smile so much. Pants equal love. I know it's stupid.
It's not much of
I know it's stupid. I get it.
It sounds like a bad translation.
I know.
Really what it sounds
I
like.
know. But
what
it was
you
just,
actually meant to say was, no.
But it's cute. And it's just like, it's, of course, Lena says it because like she doesn't have much to contribute. She gets the line "pants equal love." It just made me a little bit happy.
I like the uniqueness of choosing it to be a pair of pants that they share. Like, I like that. But for you, then, what was it? Did this book stand out amongst all the other young adult literature you read?
At the time, yes. At this time, no. Just because now I seek like what we talked about, hero characters in the traditional sense where they're doing the saving as opposed to just ordinary female friendships. But the thing about the pants, though, and I didn't realize this when I was younger, the pants are significant because they fit completely different body types. And it's just this narrative of accepting your body regardless of what you can wear. Which I thought which I didn't realize at the time was so important until I was older and realizing I could burst how many pairs of pants in a year.
Well, and I really like the fact that, like, I mean, we've come to a different relationship to the word fat in 2018 than there existed in 2005. But like Bridget specifically says, you cannot say that you look fat in like while you're wearing these pants, even if it's unrealistic. And we know that it's unrealistic, perhaps, to you want to stay friends forever with your childhood friends. That's the goal. It's maybe not super realistic because you change a lot after you leave your hometowns and after you get out of high school and you get into like the whole thing where you have to like make money and pay for things. Adulthood is not always fun. I mean, there's still just this idea that like these are the people who are going to know you best forever and ever and ever. And so I really liked when one, they sort of like encourage each other to accept each other for who they are, not sort of like try to not sort of like try to take things away from each other. There was no like pettiness. And we know that in real life, that friendship has continued for the last 13 years. Like, it's not a faked friendship. They continue to sort of like show up and support each other in all these different things, like, and all the time in Instagram and like in all these different ways. And they made the second movie.
And they're hoping for a third, aren't they?
I think they are. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just, there's so much to be said for that. And I think one of the things that I love most is when Tibby says to Carmen, after they've had like their fight, she says, maybe sometimes it's easier to be mad at the people you trust because you know I'll always love you no matter what. Yeah. And that's so true. And it takes a long time to figure that out. Why, like, sometimes it's easier to have a fight with your best friend than it is to like tell your mom or your dad how you feel, because it's just a lot.
No, I really enjoyed their friendship, and it felt genuine. I didn't feel that kind of fake thrown together actors. Like, you could definitely feel that they were friends. I just, I'm maybe too old. Oh, that said, I was thinking about how I always say that my least favorite kind of genre is the coming of age. I don't know if this is really coming of age when you're 16. Is it considered coming of age? Yeah, I guess.
For sure, definitely.
Because the Call Me By Your Name, did anyone see that movie?
I have not.
I have not seen it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I really loved that.
Yeah.
That's for another, but he's 17 as well. So
yeah.
I guess that's, so I'm just wanting to point out that whatever I say is wrong, because I'm always challenged and something will come along and I'm wrong. But yeah, I find sometimes the problem with the coming of age story is you have to really buy into that leap, because it's that leap from childhood to adulthood, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if I felt that here.
Yeah.
I think Bridget felt that leap.
I think so too.
And I think also Carmen felt that leap when she realized that she had to adapt to her father's new family. And they had to adapt to her.
And I think Tibby felt that leap too, actually, because, the kid, Bailey, died. I found it weird that it's a secret dead friend that only Carmen knows about, that Tibby and Carmen don't tell, because like they don't seem to have known what Tibby's gone through this summer.
Yeah.
Bridget and Lena get back, and I was watching it earlier today, and I was watching the scene in the car where they're driving to Charleston for her dad's wedding, and Tibby sort of makes some veiled reference. Oh, what are you going to call the film? And she's like, Bailey. And she exchanges this look with Carmen. They don't tell Lena and Bridget about what Tibby's gone through this summer. Oh. Like, Tibby is sort of still the odd person out.
Yeah.
Which I find a really interesting, weird decision. that I don't know if that's part of like the editing thing. In the book, did they know?
I don't even remember, but I feel like they did. I don't think that would be a secret to
No,
anyone.
but it seemed like such a
secret,
weird...
Yeah, in the movie, I remember that, but I don't remember...
But I
feel
have
like
to
in the
say,
book they would.
one of my favorite lines in the entire movie is that Tibby wants to create a new genre called succumentary. And I thought that was the best thing ever.
Yep.
And I can't wait. I wish she had made a succumentary.
Yeah. That was there's some good lines.
Yeah, that was my
There's
favorite
some good
line.
lines.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever had a summer romance as a teenager?
Like it had to end at the end of the summer?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. It continued and then ended in the dark winters.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was like a boy that I had a crush on or something like that.
Yeah.
And that I think I held his hand at one point.
Yeah.
But it didn't go any further, and I probably concocted that as a summer romance at a dark period in my life, maybe?
Well, this whole the notion of summer romance is something that's, I don't know, it feels like very, like Hollywood to me. Because like I never went to summer camp. I didn't have like a cottage country existence. There's a bunch of things that I just stayed in Vancouver.
I do remember I did go to summer camp, and I remember I went with my friend. I'll just say Jennifer because that's her name.
Sure.
Jennifer. And she did a little fling. By fling, I mean we were 15 or 16,
sure.
right? So she liked this guy. And in the milieu of camp, he seemed great.
Sure.
But then we went to meet him at the P&E, and he was not. It was... The first thing she said is like, why is he wearing that belt? Like, it was just all of a sudden the wardrobes that you wear outside of a camp setting.
Yeah.
Everything was different. Everything. And it was the most awkward evening of our lives. And he did that creepy maneuver where he put his arm around her and she had to walk around. And I could see her face just like, like it was on fire and it was going to leave a mark. It was awful. So I think that's kind of the problem with the summer romance is that it needs to have that thing. And I don't know how many of us really get a chance to go off and do those kinds of things for like full 2 months or something.
Yeah, it wasn't part of like my existence at all. Okay, so we have talked. How do you feel about a possible third installment? You read the third book, right? Or no?
No, I haven't read the third book.
No, you haven't read the third book. Okay.
I have not, but I can't wait for the third movie. So I was one of those people when watching that Alexis Bledel interview where she like, oh yeah, we're thinking of a third movie, and I'm like, what? Nearly a decade later.
But why? What is it that still holds you?
I don't. Well, it's nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, you read the book. You and your friends decided which characters you were. You know, it's just like you want to relive those days.
Even though they're all going to look a little bit older.
They're definitely going to look a little bit older.
Yeah.
I loved it when Sex and the City, the first movie, happened, and I went to the second one with a lot of hope in my heart. Dashed immediately, awful, just vomit everywhere. And if there was a third, would I go see it again? I sure would, because these are characters that I have loved, and I will absolutely see a third Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I
might see that just to see where
they grow up and
how things worked out.
Yeah, I'm a real sucker, honestly, for friendship movies of I agree. Between women. Like I don't 4, 2, 3, 7. I don't care how many there are. Like
I agree. All the ones we've done, I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
I mean, like we could probably do Steel Magnolias every week, and we'd be okay with that.
Honestly, and I like it particularly when it is based on a book. I think based on a book written by women, wherein it's not there's no. I mean, these are teenage girls, but like there's none of that like ridiculous like idea that like women are a competition with each other.
Yeah.
That's such a tired, ridiculous narrative that has taken far too much dominance for far too long. And so it's so nice to see movies and read books in which, like, you know, women are doing the things that I know women to do, which is support each other.
That's it.
Not all the time.
I'd really
obviously.
like to do Single White Female starring Bridget Fonda.
I absolutely want to do Single White Female.
Yeah.
No, I don't like every woman, and there's some for sure that are my enemies.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. That's what I
Jennifer
would say.
Jason Leigh,
Yeah, and Bridget Fonda.
not my enemy. I love her.
Yes.
But anyway, no,
Yeah.
I really, and I'm so excited by, like, for the most part, I don't really care about Blake Lively's existence, but the other three, I'm very sorry. Danielle looks so sad.
I'm a little sad.
I'm sorry.
That was you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted it to be me. Now I want to be Carmen, but at the same time, like, you just killed my childhood dream.
No. I like Bridget. I just don't care about Blake Lively's existence as a real person.
I really enjoyed that shark movie of hers. Was I the
never
only
saw
one that saw that?
but I've heard that's good.
She did a shark movie?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I've heard that's good.
I was surprised.
I like her in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It's just since she got married on a plantation, I couldn't handle that. And I was like, nope, we're done.
Yeah, that was
not great.
Yeah, well, and she did marry Ryan Reynolds, so blame him partly for that.
Sure, for sure. I don't just hold her accountable.
Yeah,
I mean, you know.
But I really enjoyed that movie. I think that's why I said I think her career has gone in directions. Obviously, no one knew that. Were you a Gossip Girl fan?
I was. It did get tiring in the end, but I was a Gossip Girl fan. So, yes.
Did you watch it from, like, start to finish?
Start to finish.
Nice.
Without shame. No guilty pleasures here. Only pleasures.
We don't believe in guilty pleasures here.
We do not.
Just
pleasure
all pleasure.
Is pleasure.
Yep. All pleasure all
and
the
as
time.
women, you should enjoy that as much as possible.
We've talked about this. If there's one thing we can leave you with on this podcast, it's that as women, we should feel pleasure.
All the time.
All the time.
Mm-hmm. Right now. No, that's too much.
Yeah, I have been rewatching some Sex in the City, it does not come from me the way that it used to, but certain episodes are still just such gold to me, and so I always think about, like, am I doing my Kegels? Yes, I am.
I know, I have felt the same way. Actually, on that note, I did watch the last 3 episodes for some reason again, after we'd had our conversation on the episode, and just really closely.
Yeah.
And boy, you should watch those again in our Me Too toxic male environment.
Sure will. Yeah.
They nailed that.
Yeah.
In a spooky way.
Yeah. No, that guy is the
But it's subtle.
Yeah. It's subtle.
I think you could.
It's super subtle,
because I
but
remember watching it before and going, well, that didn't work out. I didn't watch it with the way that I did now.
No, I hated him even then, but I've what this is going to sound. I've hated men maybe longer than you. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
She has a lovely husband.
I do.
She loves him
He's
very
great.
much.
Yeah, he's super great.
Yeah.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. For me, this movie still pops.
I'll give it a pop. I mean, why not?
So
I would hate
nice.
to think that someone wouldn't watch it, and it wasn't an unpleasant experience at all. I just didn't kind of connect.
Yeah. You don't have you're not carrying the same nostalgia perhaps that
no.
either of us are carrying.
No, I don't ever think now in terms of, I have to go back to school in September. I mean, it'd be fun. You do. You get to think about that still.
I do get to think about that still.
Yeah.
So does it still pop for you, Danielle?
It does still pop for me. When I was first introduced to this book, I don't remember who it was. They introduced it as, like, the younger version of Sisterhood of the Yaya.
Divine Sisterhood.
Sisterhood of the Yayas.
Yeah.
So
I've
never read that.
Nor have I seen it.
Yeah, I've done both.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Wow.
was
Sandra Bullock's in it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Is
sorry.
it like the younger version?
No, I wouldn't. That's
that?
an odd no, because the Yaya Sisterhood is quite sad and dark.
Then I don't know who this person is. And
Well,
why they would do
this person probably said this because they were like, oh, it has the word sister
and women.
and there are women.
They are 4 friends.
Yeah.
There is
then.
that.
Well then,
they go
yeah.
in sort of a flashbacky thing, but I felt it was more depressing. So.
Yeah. I mean, I like depressing too, so we could add that to the list eventually. This has been so nice. So we love to leave the episode on something that we recommend. Would you, as our guest of honor, like to go first?
I would recommend the movie Real Women Have Curves.
Oh my God, we love it so much! I love that movie. We did an episode about it like a few months ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll recommend another one. Mediator. Have you ever read those
No.
books? No, that was... Should I spoil it?
You don't have to spoil it, but just tell us why you love it.
So it's about a girl who can see ghosts.
Okay.
And she essentially finds her true love, who's a ghost from the 16th century.
Oh.
But she doesn't know she's her one true love. It's a series of 6 books.
6 books?
6 books.
And they're all good?
Well, they're all murder mysteries, and she sees ghosts.
This
and,
is so pure, alley.
I do love murder mysteries.
Yeah.
I've never combined ghosts with it, which is that's my loss.
It's amazing.
Who's the author?
Meg Cabot.
Okay, Mike Butt.
Cabot.
All right. I mean, are you just pranking me at this point?
Same woman who wrote Princess Diaries.
Oh, okay. I was I thought, honest to God, you were just saying my butt. And I was all right. Tell me more about your books. I want to hear it. I'm willing to buy them all. That's fine.
Is it Meg Cabot? I'm pretty sure it's Meg Cabot.
No, that's fine. I did not hear that.
Oh, you sounded like you were on my butt.
Sometimes I don't hear properly, and it's always worth it when it happens. Well, so The Mediator.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you so much. That's a great recommendation, and I am sold 100%. Plus, you said there's a Princess Bride tie-in, so...
Oh, no, Princess Diaries.
Oh, Princess Diaries.
The author.
That's William Goldman who wrote.
Why can't I hear anything?
The author who wrote Princess Diaries also wrote The Mediator.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Okay, I can't wait. That's great.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Lisa.
Yeah, did I mention Babylon Berlin last time?
No.
Okay. All right, so I'll start again. I want to recommend Babylon Berlin. It is a German miniseries that is now streaming on Netflix. And so it is set in the Weimar Republic, so it's 1926, so that's between wars. We don't know about Nazi Germany yet, but we know it's coming, which is interesting. And there's all kinds of incredible storylines going on. So the best way it's been pitched is it's a period piece with history about this Germany and Berlin between wars. There's also a mystery going on, and there's also a love story. And the two people who are in love are so fantastic in this movie or in this show. You will just die. It is so good. I don't want to say anything more because I didn't know anything about it. That's all.
Excellent. Awesome. Thanks. I'm going to recommend some more music. I often do that. But this is just a 4-song EP by a Toronto band called, I believe they're called Valens, but they could be called Valens. And I apologize that I didn't look that up beforehand. That's my bad. But it's spelled Vallens. And 4 songs. The first 1.5 tracks are sort of instrumental. There's not a ton of vocal. It's very moody and fascinating, and it's like you put it on, it sucks you in like you've been hypnotized, and you come out the other side with just sort of your eyes kind of all sleepy and wild, and you don't know where you've been or what's happened in these 16 minutes, but it's amazing, and I love it so much. And
Perfect.
the
Wow.
EP is called, I wrote it down.
My butt. Sorry, I've turned into a 16-year-old now.
That's cool.
Having that discussion.
The EP is called Dimmed in My Display, and it's great. So check them out. It's four tracks, but they're wonderful.
Excellent.
So thank you so much to our wonderful guest, Dannielle.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That was tremendously insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. You can hang out with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com.
And we record at the Vancouver Public Library. Our producer is Andrea Gin. And wow, what a fantastic evening of fun.
It has been great. Thank you so much for listening.